Hi everyone. Anyway, I'm actually going to turn into bed to sleep soon. So as you can tell, it's very dark. I'm just trying to fix this. I think I'll fix this up with the camera and everything, or with some visuals so that you all don't get bored listening to me and my relatively tired sounding voice because I'm actually going to go to sleep. But today I just wanted to actually talk about something that I only just I just started thinking about that, and then that the whole thing was that I realized I haven't been talking about this because it's been such a long time already, and then I realized, oh wait, I need to talk about this because it's so important. And this topic about spiritual manipulation and not just in churches but even by cults and yeah, those groups. So okay, one thing is that I've been asking all these questions on ChatGPT, on reading about it, and then I've because it has been triggered by my own experience, not just with uh, narcissist and narcissistic abuse, but even with my own experience concerning charismatic churches and cults. Okay, uh, I wasn't in a cult, but I was in a charismatic mega church before, many years ago. Okay, during my youth, and I realized one thing about all these charismatic churches. You know that a lot of these charismatic churches. Okay, I don't have any score against people who claim to be charismatic Christians. You know that you're free to believe in whatever you want to believe in, but the truth is that a lot of these charismatic mega churches here in Singapore, not just in Singapore but elsewhere, even in America and elsewhere, they teach really heretical and weird things such as the prosperity gospel, the what we call the health and wealth gospel, okay, and also the name it and claim it teaching that you can speak something into existence. It's a form of witchcraft, okay. But the prosperity gospel is also a way of like gaslighting people and also selling stuff. Because why do I call it selling? It's kind of selling of stuff because they're implying that if you are really a good or faithful Christian, you would be blessed by God, with material wealth and health, and it makes everything so materialist, and which is not the point of the Christian message. And then the thing is that one strange thing that always stuck out in my mind was that these churches, okay, this is something I've written out in my post, but not everyone has read it. I really believe it, okay. The thing is that the honey trap, okay, the honey trap is being used by all these charismatic mega churches and cults, and not just even churches, but even cults and sometimes some weird fringe groups. We know that the honey trap can be used in politics. It was supposedly used by communist countries and socialist countries with authoritarian regime, okay, where they actually they use very beautiful or pretty woman, very basically very attractive young woman to snare spies and everything, and the best example of the honey trap was the David Henry Huang, the M butterfly play. Yeah, the whole thing about this man, was it Captain Gallimat? Yeah, Captain Gallimat, who supposedly fell in love with this woman who was just performing the was it the Madame Butterfly thing? Yeah, the Madame Butterfly opera or in a Chinese opera. But it turns out that this woman whom he thought was Song Li Ling was actually a man, okay, a Chinese man pretending like cross dressing as a woman. But you know that the whole play plays on the idea of like certain gender conventions that are in Chinese opera where that men are known to undertake female roles. Of course, this is something similar to Shakespearean plays during the Renaissance where men also undertook certain roles of women. Like for example, you can have a male boy actor who's actually playing the role of Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra. But okay, just to return the whole thing about the honey trap. The honey trap is basically under the premise that by using a female, a very beautiful female, you actually, sometimes it's not even a beautiful female, it can be a very good looking man. Okay, you actually can tease secrets or certain kinds of subjugation or things out of the other person whom you're trying to get it out of. So in politics, it's always being used, like like espionage and spies. Why is it we always have this thing about James Bond who's always like getting into bed with all these women, or not just James Bond, even in some drama series you have very beautiful female spies. Because why? The honey trap always works. You use it to actually bait someone to get some secrets and some benefits out of the person. The James Bond movies are always a very good example of that. But taking that aside, all these spy movies, everything, that we also have honey traps even in churches. You don't believe me? Okay, look at those charismatic mega churches here. Okay, I'm not going to name some really big. I mean, there might be some cases where it always happens. Okay, and I noticed that not just myself, but even some friends who have visited these churches will say the same thing. I noticed that they actually place really good looking, pretty, or I mean, it's not good looking, I would say pretty, relatively pretty or attractive young girls and sometimes even not just young girls, but even young men who look relatively uh, attractive or at least pleasant looking enough in crucial places of ministry. They might not be the pastor. They might just be, for example, the usher staff in the front door, tithing. Okay, in the tithing ministries where they come out and put their tithing bags for you to put in the money. They could be the missionary volunteers. The Mormon church actually does that. And all these different things. Okay, by putting them in all these crucial positions of ministry, and by cashing on the fact that these young girls and guys are still young and physically attractive. Okay, it makes it more persuasive for the church, or more convincing, or even alluring to the visitors, the newcomers. And then the funny thing is, I realized, okay, the thing is that I actually have been to one such mega church. It was just once. The thing was back during my high school, junior college, that means pre-university days. And I remember I visited once, okay, back when it was still in that place in Suntec City, downtown, and now they moved somewhere else. I don't really know where. I think it's Boon Lay or something's further down west and everything. In that cinema theater like building, or which is like, oh my goodness, they really make a show and performance out of everything. Okay, even religion and faith. It's so disgusting, because I find that the friend who actually invited me, she was one she's one of the girls in my junior college. I mean, at the point in time, I was in a non-denominational church. Of course, my church has some back then. I would say some of the girls are relatively okay. They are pretty enough, but I didn't fancy them to begin with. I saw a lot of them as my older sisters. Actually, most of them are older sisters. I was always a young little boy back then. So the funny thing was that when I went to City Harvest, the thing is, when you're someone who's trying to find out your own spiritual identity, like trying to figure out your faith, things like that. Uh, Going there was kind of like, everyone was so friendly, everything. I can't say anything negative, but at the same time, something didn't feel right. It felt off. Okay, like my friend who brought me once, and then it was like they came up asking me, "Do you want to come again? Do you want to come?" I felt a little bit like they are trying to pull me along, not just cajole me. It sounded a little bit like harassment, and the reason why I actually talk about this was because I was watching this Korean drama series. Okay, players too. Player. I mean, even the Korean title was Player, then number two. So it's the second season of that player, that particular drama series is about a bunch of swindlers who actually do this kind of thing. They swindle people, but they don't really swindle for money alone. They do it for the sake of justice. Okay, so it's a little bit like a Robin Hood thing. They swindle the swindlers. Okay, so this one episode, not just one episode, it's like a series of a few episodes. But I would say at least two or three, about three actually, three episodes in this second season. There was this thing about the Genie Kyo, uh, and what was that? It's about basically a truth cult or truth sect, SECT, SECT. Okay, the truth sect or church. We know that in Korea they have so many cults or heretical churches. So the thing is, there's this thing called Jinikyo. It's actually very loosely inspired by real things in Korean society. Okay, where you not just Korean society but even Japanese society, where you have figures like, let's say, the Unification Church and whatever. They are really really big there. Okay, and people believe in them. So one of the very common things, and not just that, even was it, yes, the famous Jesus Morning Star. This mega church leaders, they're really really evil. They actually claim to be recruiting for the church, but because they always have a charismatic pastor or leader right at the head, that leader will claim to be some kind of incarnation of Jesus or God or whatever, and then on top of that, one of the thing that in that particular the few episodes of that series was that one of the swindlers, okay, he's this tough guy character or the big guy character, the we call the Momchan character. He's as built as a wrestler. Okay, he actually also infiltrated the sect or the church. Yeah, he's one of the swindlers. He's a big guy, so every time his fist comes out and he punches someone, the person will definitely get knocked out and everything. But the one thing was that when he comes out and he goes out into I mean, he joins that church to be a supposed devotee. Okay, it's part of the so-called infiltration strategies. Unfortunately, he started falling in love or liking one of the girls in the church, who was actually a Japanese member, and the girl was actually a very pretty girl. So obviously, I was going back to the whole thing. Yes, a lot of these cults, that Jesus Morningstar was also one of such cult. Okay, JMS. They used to actually recruit very pretty or even beautiful, basically sexually attractive women. Okay, from different countries, even Australia. I'm not sure about China, but let's say different countries, yes, and even especially Japan, for some strange reason, because of the whole ease of movement between Japanese and Koreans, South Koreans. So yes, and the funny thing is that according to the plot of those few episodes, the supposedly the swindlers who infiltrated the organization, the so-called cult or church, had said that the leader himself has many female devotees, but he doesn't really just use them uh, to sort of like kind of romance potential new devotees who are males, or he has these females as his sex slaves. Okay, it is really disgusting. I mean, we know that it's disgusting, but the thing is, such things do happen, and I'm not trying to say that it happens here in Singapore. I think that if it happens anytime, obviously the government will come in. These pastors or these leaders will definitely get arrested when there's proof. Okay, and we know that Singapore's police is really really efficient, but the thing is that I know this, just taking all this aside, all the sleaze and everything that's attached to the plot, and mapping this whole structure of the honey trap onto churches here, especially the charismatic mega churches. I realized that there's a very similar pattern of recruitment. If they can't use fear and guilt, like shame about yourself, saying that you're actually a sinner, you need to go and repent and submit to authority, so that the authority can actually intercede for you before God and before Jesus, before Christ, basically the Messiah, to gain forgiveness and everything. Before, uh, instead of just getting to that point, sometimes they really use very, very simple mere techniques of so-called friendliness. Friendliness is another top strategy other than using fear and guilt. I've talked about fear and guilt, which was used by one former friend from New Creation. She loves to use the fear of hell, but this is only one method. Okay, uh, the other method was the honey trap. I mean that friend wasn't very pretty, and I'm not attracted to her either way because goodness, she's a single mother. Okay, I don't date single mothers, and I'm not interested in Pentecostalism or charismaticism anymore. Okay, not after leaving it behind like decades ago. But it's really, really gibberish and all nonsense. But you think about it, they will definitely use the honey trap. And the honey trap actually works for most people, okay? Because why? Um, let's just admit it, okay? A good looking girl or a good looking guy, when someone is kind of attractive, even if you're not sexually or romantically attracted to them, the likelihood of them being able to actually lower the factor of intimidation will make it easier for them to draw you into the cult or the mega church or the organization. And this is the same as sales. I want my friend was Jewish, okay, not really friend, but yeah, acquaintance whom has been my friend on Facebook. She said, as a Jewish woman, an American Jewish woman, that the thing is that this works even in sales. She said in Publix, Publix, yeah, it's a kind of department store, shopping mall in the United States. I'm not exactly sure where it is. I think it's in the south, but yeah, it's either in the south or the Midwest. But the thing was that she said that all these shopping centers and all this, they during the sale, like sales events and even the sales counters, they put very pretty girls. Why? Because it sells. Okay, I hate to say it, but that, okay, the simple thing we say is sex sells, but sometimes it's not just sex. Okay, it's nothing to do with just sex. The very simple thing I've said already is that a very good looking face, a pretty face or handsome face will always lower the intimidation factor. Okay, you see someone who's good looking smiling, you smile back at the person. Do you actually want to beat up the person? I don't think so, unless you're really crazy. Okay, I don't think it happens. And I mean, it's just a fact. Okay, that one woman can get very angry, and then I say, oh, this girl looks pretty, she's smiling at me, okay, I shan't blow up anyone or whatever. It's just a normal human thing. Okay, I hate to say it, but it's true. And this is how they actually work in terms of recruitment within all this really corrupt, if not corrupt, but at least I would say heretical religious institutions. So one thing is this: I think you have to be careful, because a lot of these times, during my was it my junior college? Yeah, junior college. I always hear from people, they say, oh, have you ever gone to City Harvest Church? Um, now it's no longer City Harvest, because it's after the money scandal, which involves financial breach of trust. The membership has kind of like tapered down, and it's still one of the mega churches here, but not as the membership following is not as big as in what is it now, New Creation Church. And New Creation Church has actually a very young client. I want to use word clientele, but yeah, unfortunately, it's just a religion, the business of religion. Okay, they preach a false gospel. They tell you certain things about the prosperity gospel, and they are really impervious to criticism. This is a really disturbing thing. They will say, no, but this is only one of a few things we teach. Oh yeah, but you teach many other weird things like naming and claiming it, which is like witchcraft and everything. And we say they really, but I mean, it's like basically they have bewitched and have everyone under their spell. And the thing is, there'll be people commenting, defending them, whatever. They are free to go to whatever, believe in whatever. But when it crosses over into the line, into this whole thing about mind control and mental manipulation, we know that something has gone wrong. Okay, uh, And this is not just that, like, that thing. Let's go back to the whole thing about this whole thing with people talking about going to church to see the girls, everything. It was a norm during my JC days where all the guys were talking. Oh, do you go to City Harvest? Do you see the pretty girls? So what? I'm in church to actually worship God, and I want to know more about my faith as a Christian. I wanted to be at the point in time I was very young Christian, so I wanted to go and find a correct church that was teaching the Bible, everything, and more about the faith. And I realized that it was really just off. Everything was off. Okay, a lot of things were off, and the thing was that that guys telling me and or saying that they go to church, not just City Harvest but many other churches, they do go to the same thing. They see because they hear that there are all these girls in church, so they saw it as a kind of very convenient. How should I say? Pretext, yeah, pretext saying that, oh, I'm interested in God, but you're not interested in God. You go there actually to see the girls. And this was exactly what one Indian Muslim friend told me. He told me that one of his friends, this Chinese guy, okay, he said that friend actually looks like a Korean idol, has abs, relatively good looking. But that friend of his went to City Harvest not so much because he wanted to be worshiping God or believing God or whatever. He actually wanted to know some pretty girls, and from there, he was hopefully going to have sex with them. And what that friend said was, this thing. He said, I really feel very bad for these girls. That's what he said. These girls have no idea that they're dealing with a male sexual predator. And I was like, oh dear, this is really sad. And it's like, I'm not sure. I'm sure. I'm very, very sure that this is not only in application to City Harvest, but also applies to many, many of this kind of mega churches where there are all these girls there, who are pretty or young, and sometimes even good looking, relatively pleasant looking guys, and you don't really know what is going on. Okay, behind all these things are all many sad stories. I hear some things as well right now, like yesterday, just now, yesterday in the gym, I was talking to one friend. Just told him, and because he's a Buddhist by parentage and everything. But his mom is Christian, and his triplet sister is actually Christian too. So he told me this thing. He said that he has some friends, okay, who are supposedly attending City Harvest, but not City Harvest, I think New Creation. Yeah, he was telling me, I asked him, is that friend of yours good looking? He said, no, 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 he's not. But the one thing is that that friend, what he's doing as a member. I said, no, what is going on? He said, oh, he gives 20 to 30% of his monthly salary without fail. Okay, so can you imagine if like his friend is making about 3,000, he donates about 600. I said, wow. And we're not talking about the fact that the thing is that there's 20% taxes deducted from our monthly salary as Singaporeans. And yeah, it's really ridiculous. And I said, why is he doing that? 20 to 30% of his monthly salary to New Creation Church. I said, oh, no, 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 it's not just the whole prosperity gospel thing. I said, is it because they think that is if you donate this amount, God will bless you with many other things materially. He said that's only one reason, but he told me the other reason is, okay, he was like trying, oh, touch wood. He said, my friend told me that if let's say touch wood, if he ever runs into some problem where he has kidney failure or liver failure, or he needs some donation from someone in the church, putting this money is a way to secure some potential donor who will be willing to give it to you, to donate it to you. I said, isn't this a form of human trafficking or organ trafficking? uh oh, yeah, it is a form of organ trafficking, but I don't think it's ethical at all, because we know that in Singapore there are rules that, not just in Singapore but other countries, the person who donates like a organ to you must be verified not to be close to you within the family, even if it's like, let's say, friends or whatever. uh, you need to have permission. It can be rejected, and the laws are very clear about it. You can't just say, I want to do it, and then just person say, yes, I could. but that was the motive behind all that friend of his giving so much money, because he wanted to so-called safety blanket. I find it very, very disgusting. But it's no different from the honey trap thing. It shows that the basis of your faith is not really Christian. Okay, it's very selfish, materialist. It's all for yourself. Anyway, uh, I think I'm just basically done with it. I'm just gonna go and sleep. But yeah, just be watch out. There are all these things like honey trap, and not just honey trap, all the promise of those material benefits. It may not be sex or romance or whatever, or love, but it could be just simply something else, like the friendliness that they have for you is a form of honey trap too. The honey trap can be also material benefits, and this kind of health benefits thing, or a potential donor of an organ. Oh my goodness, how disgusting does it get? It's a form of trafficking. Okay, I don't know how humans can put up with that and then do that, thinking that you're going to get it. Okay, it's not going to work out that kind of way. And I think that God will actually eventually, one day, God will come down upon these people. I don't think He's doing it to punish you. He's trying to make these people learn that things don't work that way. Okay, but anyway, that's it for now. I'm just going to go and sleep, and have a good one, everyone. Bye bye.